Okay, it looks like we're just about ready to get started. So, my name's Sean Trainer, and this is my friend Prashant. And here's the agenda that we're going to walk you through. So the first thing that we're going to do is, we're not going to kill you with a lot of slides, but we're going to explain what we mean by search-based applications. Then we're going to introduce our new product called Dragonglass, which helps you build search-based applications. That's going to take about 5 minutes, and then in the next 15 minutes we're going to build a live demo of a search-based application right in front of you from scratch. So let's get started. So what do we mean by search-based applications? So it's a new paradigm of architecture. It looks a little bit similar to what you've seen or been developing in the past. But there's something new in the middle here, and this is where the change takes place. And instead of putting things inside a structured query database, we're going to put everything inside of an index, okay? And then we're going to drive all of our data retrieval off of that index. So we can fill that index a number of different ways. We can fill it with databases, we can fill it from extractors, we can fill it from web crawlers, and we're going to demonstrate that today by bringing in structured, unstructured, external and internal information all inside that index. So why do we need these new search-based applications? In today's world, things are working well if you're working within a single application for a single purpose. But most jobs now are cutting across areas, and an SQL approach tends to leave you a little bit boxed in and tied into that existing schema that was laid out, you know, when you were first designing the application. In today's world, we've got a couple things that are going on. We've got a lot of new applications that are being brought online, and we have, still back on the other side, we have the ever-present need to bring those new data sources into our existing applications. So what do SBAs, how do SBAs help resolve or help with this issue? So first, they're very adaptive at bringing in new data sources. We're going to show you that in just a minute. They're very, very fast, right? So if you come from an SQL database world, you normally index, on the table that, you mainly need to use. In our search-based platform here, we index on everything, okay? So we're assuming, okay, that you're going to need immediate access to everything that you put into the index. So that gives you split-second response time. We've also set it up so it's a very user-friendly, I would say, intuitive experience where it helps you with that first step. It helps you with findability. It helps you guide yourself into the application, even when you don't know exactly what you're looking for. And then lastly, the flexibility with this REST-based API up on the top here. It can be accessed from any device, computer to computer, mobile device, it doesn't matter. So it makes it very flexible for building extremely powerful applications. So our solution to search-based applications is Dragonglass, and Dragonglass is a complete platform which quickly enables you to build search-based applications. So it comes with an entire series of data extractors. It creates the index store for you. It's built on top of Elasticsearch as well as Storm, our key components within the architecture. But we've built around that platform to make it an entire solution to quickly enable you to build SBAs. We've also provided a widget set as well as a full set of rich APIs which enable you to develop very sophisticated search-based applications in record time frames. Hopefully we'll be able to demonstrate that to you in just a couple minutes. And then lastly, we give you both admin services to manage and monitor the application from anywhere you've deployed it to. It can be deployed into the cloud, can be deployed on premise. It's completely Dockerized, so it's extremely flexible. So here's how the rest of the demo is going to go. It's a 3-step process. You name your index, you fill it up with a bunch of data, and then we automatically generate an application for you to do data discovery, okay, and explore insights into your data. This particular example that we're going to use is, nope. This particular example that we're going to use is we're going to use data from the Consumer Complaints Database, which is on the data.gov website, and we're going to build a search engine around that Consumer Complaints Database. So let's go to the Dragonglass application. And this is the live application now, and we're going to build it from scratch. What you're looking at is an admin interface. So these are all the different metrics, okay, and search engines that have been built in the past. We're going to start with a brand new one. So our first step is to simply name the engine. That's going to take you to the single engine page here. You can see at the top it's completely empty. So now our focus is going to be on these green buttons where it's going to allow us to bring in unstructured, structured, and external data sources. So we're going to start by bringing in a structured file. In this case, these are the consumer complaints off of data.gov. Think of the schema as like a category. And the first time Dragonglass sees a new category, it's going to ask you a few simple questions, if you like, if you don't want to accept the defaults, on how you would like to map that new data source into the platform. So what Prashant's doing now is he's selecting and telling Dragonglass, there's a new data source coming into the application, and here's how I'd like to use it. So instead of using product for title, I'm going to use the title. I'm going to set up my description. You can change any data type that you need to change. We're not going to change any of those right now, but we are going to change some of the parameters here that you see at the top. Which fields do you want to be searchable? Which fields would you like to use in autocomplete? And which fields, most importantly maybe, would you like to be faceted? Okay, so faceted and filtering are two major concepts within the application. So Prashant's just going to quickly finish configuring this data source, and then we're going to upload the file into the platform. So if we refresh the page here, you can see automatically that asynchronously the platform has already started to index the information. You can see the number of records that are being indexed down here in the lower right. And at this point, we can actually show you the automatically generated data discovery application. So if we enter in a blank search, there's a number of things that are instantly going on. So over here on the left are the filters and the facets that I mentioned. So you can see the breakdown of all the consumer complaints by company, by product, by state where the complaints came from, even by subproduct. Anything that you choose in that mapper will be reflected in this application, discovery application. What you see in the middle here is the actual payload of the search result. So if we click on that, this is just like the database record. So this carries as much information as the consumer complaints database had for that particular complaint. And then probably most interesting on the right is what we call search-based analytics, right? And so the entire application, as you type in your search requests, will drive all these different visualizations, and it will give you greater insight into your data. So if we scroll back up, you'll see these are the top financial services firms with consumer complaints against them. Not surprisingly, they're actually within the mortgage industry. But if we switch down into one or the other, like student loan categories, you'll see that there's a complete change in the makeup of the companies and where the complaints are coming from. So just by uploading that one single structured file, you have this automatically generated application to get you started right off the bat, just within minutes. So now let's go back to our search engine and fill it up with a little bit more data. We don't want to make this just about complaints, so a lot of firms have the need for a knowledge management repository. So the consumer guidelines could lead to a knowledge management repository to avoid complaints. So unstructured data is loaded just the same as structured data. It can be on demand just by selecting these files. We upload it into the platform exactly the same way. We're going to go with the default mapping at this point. So we just hit submit. You're going to get your little green button up at the top.
Waiting for it to upload. We're waiting for it to upload.
Network's just a little bit slow, bear with us, but all these records, all these PDFs and Word documents are being indexed into the same index as the structured consumer complaints came in from. Now if we go back to our data discovery tool, you notice that we've put them into a separate category. So if we go into the knowledge management repository, now that you'll see all the unstructured documents are available in the same location as your consumer complaints. So hopefully your customer reps will now be reading these guidelines while they're performing their tasks to avoid the complaints themselves. Now let's go back again to our index. So we've covered structured data, unstructured data. Now let's try attaching an existing data source. In this case, it's actually going to be a website from a financial services firm that I'm doing research on that has a consumer complaint against it. So let's choose AG1. And so what this is going to do is it's going to attach a web crawler to my index. And I can choose to have that run on a scheduled basis at any time. Or in this case, we're just going to run it on demand for the sake of the demo. But it's going to actually attach itself, the web crawler is going to attach itself out to the web, and it's going to start crawling that site and bringing that back into the index itself as well. So again, we've chosen to open that up as a separate category, and you should start to see the results of crawling this financial services firm, and that is coming back into our index in real time. So now what I'm able to do is if I go back and I do a search on all and I type in the access group, envision you're doing e-discovery or any type of investigative research work, the ability to bring SLA agreements, unstructured documents, external data crawled from websites, and structured files, either from CSVs or databases, all in one place. That's the real power behind a search-based application. And you can see this data discovery mechanism gives you the ability to do it in minutes from a non-technical perspective with actually no coding done whatsoever. Now this isn't the end product. This is just, this is more of an administrator's tool to use. You might want to show them the auto-suggest as well.
Oh, yes.
So one last thing, once you get so much data in here, one fantastic tool, Google-esque like, is auto-suggest. So when Prashant picked out, the different fields that he wanted to use for auto-suggest, look at all the different companies that start with mortgage. So just finding that specific one company, that sort of needle in the haystack, can be very challenging. With auto-suggest, I can pick out the exact company that I'm looking for, and it'll automatically bring up those search results. So let's recap real quickly. Okay, to create a search-based application, you just name your index, fill it up with data, and then it automatically generates a discovery application for you. But that's not where it stops. The real power is in building sophisticated applications off of that. So we're going to show you a sample site that we just launched called Open Payments. And it basically uses the newly available information that was distributed between pharmaceutical companies and payments that were dispersed to physicians and to hospitals. And it looks like a standard dashboard, right? But it's all search-driven at the top, where you can search for your physician. So if you can put my physician in, I'm going to go see him tomorrow. So his name's Dr. Todd Schlifstein. But you have the auto-suggest, so it should be very quickly, should be easy to find him. He's there at the bottom. But this application, using our platform, was built in 2 weeks, right? So it's not to say that you can't build this from scratch on your own, but with the platform, you can build it very, very quickly, okay? You can also add data to this. So this is just a 2-week start for the Cloud Expo, okay? But we'll be bringing other data sources into this. We're going to show you whether Republicans take more, payments, than Democrats, vice versa. There's all sorts of different data sources that we can now bring in and compare to this base set of data in order to gain better insights. To show you how this top portion is built very, very quickly, we're going to end with Prashant showing you how we wire up our index to our widget set using our REST-based APIs, right? So that maybe sounds a little complicated, but this pie chart, think about it, is tied to an index, and we're just going to show you how we can quickly edit that and build this out very, very quickly.
All right. I hope you guys can hear me with this. Cool. Good. Okay. So what Sean showed you was a built-out dashboard, a built-out open care health payments app, and we use Dragonglass's REST-based API to build it out. But what you really want is for developers to be able to use some kind of reusable widgets that they can go in and add on the fly. And you want to be able to build this out from scratch by yourself without the help of a lot of developers' assistance, right? So what we've done is we've got a bunch of widgets, right? Dragonglass enabled widgets. And with this, you can create your own dashboard from scratch. So what we have over here are a bunch of widgets that are powered by Dragonglass. We even have some iframe widgets and client alerts and all of that. But let me show you by adding one of these Dragonglass enabled widgets. Now, they are directly tied to Dragonglass, right? So these widgets are, well, it's a dashboard, so you can customize the layout of it. You can also customize the positioning of the widgets. But what I really want to do is build out that open healthcare payments app, right? So what I've done is added a widget called Nature of Payments, and this is configured to talk to Dragonglass. So what I'm going to do now is going to add a search path to it, and I know the search path to my schema, which is that. And I can configure a bunch of things here. I can configure the aggregations that it gets performed. I can also configure the chart type that gets built out, right? So I'm going to say I want to see this as a pie chart. So I'm going to say pie and save that. And what it's going to do is it's going to go out to Dragonglass, execute that query that I built out, and draw out the chart for me. Now, the power doesn't stop there. You can even drive these widgets through a search query, right? So what you can do is, so this is all the data across the system. So let's say I want to filter down by New York because I live in New York. I want to find the physicians in New York. So I'm going to type in New York, and it's going to execute this query real time, and you can see the speed of it. You can see how fast it connects to the REST-based API and pulls the query down for you. So it's filtered down the physicians who are in New York, and that's the kind of payments that they've been accepting in the last quarter.
Any questions on anything that we've presented? Okay, if you just go to the very last slide. Welcome and 440. If you do have any questions, we're right around the corner at booth 440. You come and talk to us, and we can have a follow-up conversation. But thank you for attending, and enjoy the rest of your expo.